Hey guys, Vol here again. We're on to game 3 of TS4, and I'm up against Dan and his Ogres. Very happy to see Ogres at basically the top of the tables. This is like the number 1 and 2 spot at the end of day 1. And Dan had some great luck against vampires in his first round, smashing one of those guys, and he played against another Warriors of Chaos player with a really hard and really cool list, and did very well to thrash him as well. So now he's up against me. I consider this to be a good matchup. He's got nothing really scary in his list. He's got the big box of Ogres, which sometimes can be annoying to kill when they've got their spells up, but if you can attack in your turn and dispel their remains of place spells, you should be able to do it. The scenario, though, is blood and glory, though, so I've deployed my army opposite where he's put his guys down, mainly on the left-hand side of the field. I've put my my cav out on the flanks because they've been able to vanguard into the flank zones, and that's where it's gone. The building in the middle of the field is a building that gives frenzy to guys within 6 inches if you are from the forces of destruction, which is basically chaos but not ogres, so that's quite fortunate for me that it's come down that way. Next image, my guys have deployed in a really weird fashion here. I've got one mortar unit in bus formation, one in horde, and the dragon behind them. The plan here is on the first turn to move the bus formation guys up onto the hill 8 inches forward, clearing a space for the knights to actually walk around the flank because they can't deploy on the flank due to the scenario rules. And then later on come around the side. I'm going to send my guys into kill his dragon with gateway and whatever else I can, and then have my knights, on his flank later in the game. So that's the game plan here. Next image, he is basically just banking on having his troop units just bash into mine. He's got the Noblars there to potentially hold up the Chosen for a couple of rounds. So my plan on that side of the field is to use my Fast Cav and War Shrine to really hold up his Noblars to prevent them from having an effect on the rest of the game, which could be annoying for me with the Steadfast. Next image, I've won the roll for the first turn. I have advanced my cavalry on the left so that they're out of 45 degree or 90 degree charge arc from the giant. And I've moved my my dragon over there so he's within 18 inches of the giant to cast Flickering Fire, but the giant will need a double 6 to charge him in response. And I've also moved my units forward in a sort of a pincer fashion just to give him a couple of options to go against. Next image, so a better look over here. I use my magic to cast Gateway on the giant, doing 5 wounds to him. I believe he has 6, so that leaves him with 1 left. That'll give me a good opportunity to kill him in the following turn with possibly a charge from either the dragon or the marauders, depending on what he does. Next image, he moves the giant back a bit, and he sort of moves his units around in a little bit of an indecisive way, and the Rhinox moves forward a little bit, shooting a scrap launching payload against my marauders, killing about 10 of them. So that was quite good to see. Next image, my marauders indeed charge his giant. This game I've given them flails, and they do indeed take off the final wound on him, kill him, and then overrun off the table. In the meantime, my dragon has flown over the other side here, tried to cast Gateway again, but he pulled out his Dispel Scroll. Next image, I've charged the Noblars in the flank with my Marauder Cav. I spent the last turn getting into a position where I could do so, moving past the Rhinox. And the plan there is to fight 2 or 3 rounds against the Noblars before they eventually beat me. And that will prevent him from, achieving what I was worried he would do, which is to move them full speed ahead, put them away at the Chosen, and force the Chosen to go 3 or 4 rounds of killing them with the stubborn steadfast roll before I was dispensed with. And during that time, he could have moved his character bunker into killing my units. So take note of this, guys. At this point, I feel as though I'm playing a lot better than this guy, because I've actually got my units out of his charge ranges. I've used my Lord effectively. I've basically made him play on my terms, and I've avoided the tactics that he could pull to put me under pressure. So it looks like I've got a big advantage here due to basically movement and strategy and tactics, which is what you really want the game to be about. And next image. I've got to say, guys, I mean, the more astute and advanced listeners in the audience will know that when I say something like that, it probably means that things are going to go downhill later in the battle report, and I'm setting it up. So, yeah, I'm just going to call it right now and say, yeah, the game does go pretty badly, so that's why I'm basically commenting on these points and trying to make people aware of what's going on there. So that's what the battlefield looks like after my turn 2, or before the combat phase of my turn 2. Next image, he brings his Gorger on the field behind my Knights. I'm not worried about the Gorger at all, because if he recharges either of these units, the back strikes, either from the Frenzy Marauders or the Knights, will actually kill the Gorger pretty easily, so not to worry there. Next image, my Marauder Cav have been reduced to just 3 models. They're fighting away against the Noblars, managing to keep that that situation intact. And of course, the Marauder Cav have been placed against the at the edge of the board. They aren't physically there, but that's where they will appear once it's time for them to come back on. He's moved his Ogres around facing my Dragon. I feel that's a mistake, because I can keep moving out of his charge arc if he does that. Really what he needs to do is keep them facing forward so that he can support the Iron Guts unit. However, he has been trying to get off the spell which causes my Lord to take a panic check. I believe that he's not immune to panic while on a dragon, so that could be embarrassing if my Lord panics off the table. He's also got that helmet, which means that I'm -1 to my leadership check for those panic checks. Next image, again, you can see here what the situation is. If he moves forward with his Iron Guts, with all the characters in it, he's got the General, Slaughtermaster, and BSB in there. I can get a flank charge if he puts him in the wrong position, but if he charges forward and brutalizes one unit, he might get a really sweet overrun. I've also hit his Rhinox with my War Shrine, just to prevent him bringing the Rhinox in, because I don't want anything to interfere with this delicate situation of me having a setup where I've got 3 units and I'll be able to get a flank charge off in some sort of situation no matter what. Next image, the Knights have moved all the way around. They're now in the flank arc of both his Iron Guts and his Bulls. I've flown the Dragon over so he can't charge the Dragon, and I've moved the Marauder Cav around. I was a little bit worried that he might beat the Marauder Cav and then turn around with the Noblars and then charge my Dragon with the Noblars, keeping the Dragon shut down. But at the end of the day, if he'd done that, he would have had to capitalize on that. He would needed to move his Ogres around to get the charge in on the Dragon to wipe it out, because the Dragon will thunderstomp the Noblars and stay winning the combat. But if he turned around with his other units, I could get rear charges with my Knights and so forth and probably do quite well. So that's what's happened there. He's got some buffs up on his units, but there's no charges involving them, so I'm not too worried. Next image, the War Shrine trying to kill the Rhinox, managed to do a couple of wounds, but he doesn't fail his break test, so... no, actually, I think he does. Eventually, he does fail his break test, the Rhinox runs away, and the War Shrine moves in to help out the Cav against the Noblars. So next photo, he's in his responding turn here, he's moved back around with the Bulls facing the Dragon. Again, I mean, why would you do this? I mean, the Dragon's just going to move somewhere else and stop those Bulls from having any effect on the middle field of the game. What he should be doing is just keeping, he should be thinking 2 turns ahead, not so much 1. So that's really what's going on there. And the Marauder Cav have come back on the field, just throwing javelins at the Ogres wherever they can. Next image. Now this is where the shit hits the fan, where things go bad. Especially for his Iron Guts. What happens here is, because my guys are frenzied, my Marauders fail their frenzy check and they're forced to commit to the Ogres. So what I decided to do is throw in the Knights as well onto the flank, given that there'll be a combo charge if I pass both rolls. Luckily for me I do, so I get both units in there. I've got a flank, 3 ranks, I've got a banner in there, he's got his 3 characters, but I've got basically frenzy and only 1 champion. So what happens there? And if you go to the next photo, you can see in a bit more detail, I've got his unit tied up. His Bulls can't actually counterattack me now because they're facing the wrong way, and his Rhinox has fled back. I've got my my War Shrine and single Marauder Cav guy in combat with his Noblars, preventing the Noblars from going in and getting rid of my Steadfast. So I'm in a great position. In the combat, I believe I did a ton of damage on him. I kept a couple Knights alive, and he needed a break test on a 5 to hold around with a reroll. He managed to get it, so very lucky for him to not lose his huge character bunker. Remember, the game, this is a Blood and Glory, so if that unit dies, that's it. He loses the game by an extra 500 points bonus due to the scenario. Next image, though, the Noblars have actually managed to beat the single Marauder guy, and they've pursued the War Shrine away, and he's chosen to pursue. I felt that's a mistake. What he should have done is reformed and used the opportunity later on to get in the way of either the Chosen or the Dragon, but he's chosen not to do that. Again, a mistake, so I feel like he's making a lot of mistakes here, and if he'd been playing better, life would be a lot easier for him. Next image, the other Gorger comes back on the field, comes on the field, finally showing up and putting him behind the Dragon. Not sure he's doing that because the Dragon again is very mobile. Same with the Marauders, Marauder Cav. So putting him elsewhere may be a better plan. Next image, what we've got here is, again, guys dying, basically. I think I threw some jabs at him or cast a spell, causing him to lose some wounds, but regardless, the dragon flies away and it's its next turn. Next image, his other Gorger has been assaulted by the Marauders on foot, who have been diminished by the scrap launcher, but they managed to hack this guy down in short order, so that's quite good. So next image, this is where it gets really important. I've got a single Chaos Knight remaining. It's hard to see in the photo, he's on the flank. I've charged into the corner with my Chosen, with the BSB, with the 3+ ward save and the Great Weapon. I've now used the War Shrine to buff them to the 3+ stubborn and ward situation. I've got my Mortar infantry fighting at the front, and they're still frenzied because I've been winning every single round of combat. And I've now charged my Dragon into the side. He won't be able to use the Make Way roll on the Tenderizer Tyrant because he's already in combat, and I can challenge with my BSB instead of the Dragon so that I won't have to get tenderized like that, and hopefully my 3+ ward save should actually block some of his attacks, or I can just do with the Champion of the Chosen. So what happens here is that I hack away at him, deny a lot of his attacks with my ward saves, and he needs a double 1 to hold, so he fails it and then rolls another 1 for the BSB and passes it. So the chance of rolling a double 1 is something like, what is it, 1 in 32 chance of that happening. I can't remember, 1 in 36, and he had 2 opportunities to do that, so the chances were not good. Had he failed it, I would have been pursuing with, I think, the Dragon and 2 infantry units. His BSB would have automatically died, and the chances of me capturing that unit would have been massive. I would have got plus 500 victory points for breaking him from the scenario. I would have got the general bonus and 600 points worth of Lords. But because that didn't happen, it means I have to fight another challenge, and he gets an opportunity to cast his spells now for stubborn and so forth. So I was just heartbroken that the game wound up like that, because I'd played very well to get to the situation. Next photo is another photo of the same combat, but I've destroyed all of the Iron Guts now. The Knights are gone. He's killed both the Chosen Champion and the BSB with his Tyrant. I've reduced the Slaughtermaster to 1 wound more than once, but he keeps healing them back with his Blood Cleaver. And his BSB is still walloping me with his sword. My Dragon's still intact, but things are looking grim now because he keeps passing his break tests. He's been very lucky with that. He's been very lucky with the ward saves on his 2 Lord characters as well. So next photo, his bulls finally move around. But because this is his turn 5, I've got a turn to move my Marauders in the way of them to block them. So had he moved them earlier on, he would have been able to attack the Dragon and kill him, but because he's made those mistakes, he hasn't had the opportunity, whereas I feel I've played quite well to get into the opportunity I'm in, but I haven't been able to capitalize on it because of luck, unfortunately. So next photo, and this is the last photo that I've taken of the game. I redirect his bulls so he gets points out of the cav at the end. But what happens is, because I'm out of champions, both the Marauder champion's dead, the Chosen champion's dead, the BSB's dead, I must challenge with the Sorcerer Lord. Of course, the Tyrant accepts. He splits his attack between the Lord and the Dragon. Fortunately for me, he doesn't kill the Dragon. He needed forced hit, and he wasn't really highly likely to get it. But I failed the ward save on my Lord twice, and he managed to get enough wounds on him to kill him. And because technically in the scenario, if I lose my Lord, even though the Dragon's not dead, he counts as getting plus 500 victory points for winning Blood and Glory. So due to that bonus, he actually beat me by about 14 points to 6 in terms of the ratio. It was looking like it was going to be a very solid win to me, and I was hoping for it, but that's Warhammer. I mean, Warhammer has quite a high luck component, and at the end of the day, you can really just laugh and smile and have a bit of fun, and kudos to him. I think Ogres, the only Ogre player at the tournament, wasn't expected to sort of have thrashed everybody after the day 1, but I hope he continues to do well and place well at the end of the tournament. But unfortunately, my bid for a top 3 spot is weakened now, because if I get another loss in the next day, and I'm likely to, that will take me out of the runnings. But anything can happen, and day 2 coming up, I'll be playing my best in all 3 games, and if I can get some good wins, I might be able to bring home some glory. So thanks for checking this one out, guys. A bit of an unexpected ending, but that's Warhammer. See you later.